Straight Raiders. Today we have another interview with Jordan Kannianen, and we are going to be asking him some questions. So let's get into it. So introduce yourself. Who are you?
All right, well, I'm talking to the microphone. Okay, I'm Jordan Kannianen, District 4 Senator, so it's the northwest part of the state. I cover Kenmare, Berthold, Fort Berthold Reservation, and other areas. Big district geographically.
Wow, that's very cool. How did you get started on your path to serving our state?
Well, I've always been involved on the local level, township board, serve in other local community or church offices, and my father-in-law is our district chairman for District 4 Republicans, and so through his influence and my own father's influence, I guess, kind of led me to run for office when we had an open seat in our district this year to run for, so I decided to go for it.
Cool. All right, how long have you served in the ND legislature?
Yeah, I'm a freshman. I was just elected in November of 2016.
Wow. Cool. And how can students be more involved in the ND/US government or legislature?
Well, just keep following everything. As far as the North Dakota legislature, there's easy bill tracking. You have the ND Legis Daily app. You have the website, legis.nd.gov. You can follow all the bills like during the session, but then also during the interim between the sessions, the 20 months in between each session. I certainly encourage everybody to be involved as far as visiting with your own local, your senator, your representatives, and just researching issues, local or state issues that interest you, and just being in communication with your government officials.
And what party are you representing?
Yeah, I'm a Republican.
Do you ever second guess regarding the way that you voted on a bill?
Yeah, I certainly have. Yeah, you're always learning, and so I've certainly voted, especially with this being my first session. There's so much to learn, and so yeah, I've definitely learned new information or additional information after a vote, whether it's an hour later or a week later, and I think, I might have voted differently on that. If I get another chance on that, I might vote differently. Yeah.
What college degrees should you strive for to become a member of the ND legislature, and to what extent?
Well, there isn't really one or any specific field of study to prepare. That's the nice part about it with the citizen legislature. There's such a wide variety of backgrounds that serve as far as senators or representatives. You have businessmen, you have teachers, you have farmers, you have doctors or lawyers, tradesmen. I myself, I'm an electrician. I have business degrees from Minot State, bachelor's and master's in management, but then I also grew up with electrical work, have my electrician licenses, and have done the hands-on work as well, and have so there isn't really one thing. Every background, any type of education brings value to the process here. So,
how long did it take you to get those degrees?
Well, I was working, so as far as getting my degrees, I didn't get them in the standard 4 years for a bachelor's or 1 or 2 years for a master's. It took a little longer. I actually did a mission trip, and I was working, and part of the time I was going to school only part-time and working as well and starting to raise a family, so it took me a few more years maybe than the average, the 4 or 6 years, but.
Wow. All right. We are told youth are our future. With this in mind, how do you take youth opinion in mind when making a decision?
Yeah, well, you're definitely right. I mean, I say I have kids of my own, and so every decision I make, you certainly have the future in mind, the youth or the people that you serve, as the young people. You I serve on the education committee too, and so I really appreciate the opportunity for that. But it's you always want to be looking for the future, and every bill has consequences. You hope that all the consequences of the bill are good, but sometimes you have to look at what are the unintended consequences or what are the unforeseeable consequences in the future for this bill. And so, yeah, you're always thinking about the youth and the future.
How do you choose to tax certain items between necessary and luxury?
I'm sorry, what's that?
Here, it's fine. Let's see. How do you choose to tax certain items between a necessity and a luxury?
Yeah, that's a great question. I like with sales taxes. That, to be honest with you, I don't claim to know all the ins and outs of the tax code yet. As far as there's certain items that how do you choose between what's necessity or what's luxury as far as what gets taxed or not on the sales end of it? That's a great question, and I don't pretend to know all the ins and outs of that. But the basics is just to what does a family need? What are some basic necessities for a family to survive? And that's what you go off of. As far as most food products, besides the junk foods and stuff, you don't tax that. But that's a great question, though. It's something that I'll study up more on.
So, do you think like minimum wage should be raised for families that just basically live on it, or do you think it should stay the same?
Yeah, that's there's definitely not a simple answer for that. As far as the minimum wage in general, if you look at just raising the minimum wage, what it can do is it can actually price some people out of the job market. It can hurt some people if you'd raise the minimum wage to $10, for example. It might make it so that a business instead of being able to hire 4 people, they might only have the money to hire 3 people, and so it can. It's not a simple answer to raise the minimum wage. So typically, I'm not in favor of imposing any minimum wage.
Yeah, so you have to kind of think from both sides, basically. All right, what is your thoughts on the DAPL? I'm not sure what that is.
Yeah, that's a simple answer too, isn't it? Yeah, I think communication. The biggest lesson learned is communication, from both sides. And I think Governor Burgum's done a great job on beginning his term here by just simply communicating with both sides. He's had already town halls and meetings with tribal leaders, with Morton County ranchers and other residents. And I think that's the main way to go. And I think that if proper communication would have been done over the last few years from the get-go with everybody at the table, I think all of this could have been avoided. So.
All right, and that is all the questions that we have for you today. Thank you so much for taking your time.
Thank you.